Have you ever wondered why intimacy feels so deeply personal? Why some moments leave you fulfilled and cherished, while others leave you feeling disconnected and hollow? Imagine sitting in the presence of a wise elderly woman, her years of life experience shining through her every word. She reveals truths about the emotional and physical connection in relationships that most of us never fully understand. In today's video, we'll uncover profound lessons about intimacy, trust, and the sacred nature of human connection. Lessons that can transform not just how we relate to others, but how we understand ourselves. From understanding the impact of emotional safety on physical intimacy to learning how forgiveness and communication are the keys to deeper connections, this video is packed with wisdom that will stay with you for years to come. By the end, you'll learn practical ways to nurture love, build trust, and embrace your own worth, whether you're seeking to strengthen your relationship or heal from past wounds. So stay with us, because what you hear today might just change the way you approach love, connection, and your own inner peace. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. The elderly woman nodded slowly, her wise eyes reflecting the depth of the question posed to her. She took a moment, her voice steady but tender as she began to speak. "That is a profoundly thoughtful question," she said, her tone carrying the weight of years of understanding. "You see, if a woman does not feel completely safe, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, her body has its own way of responding. It isn't a conscious choice, it's a primal reaction rooted in self-preservation. Her body, her sacred vessel, might perceive a subtle threat even when none is intended, and this can manifest as discomfort, tension, or even pain. The nerve endings in her most sensitive areas are intimately tied to her emotions, and when those emotions are unsettled, the body responds in kind." She paused, her voice growing softer yet more poignant. "What's more, her brain may release cortisol, the stress hormone, which works in opposition to oxytocin, the hormone of love and trust. This delicate balance is disrupted, leaving behind a residue of unease, a sense of dissatisfaction that cannot always be easily named but lingers in the heart and the body. It is as if her very essence is telling her something was not as it should have been." The room fell into a thoughtful silence until a young man, emboldened by the depth of the conversation, asked, "And what happens afterward? How does a woman feel emotionally after such an experience?" The elderly woman turned her kind gaze to him, her expression gentle but grave. "Ah, my dear boy," she began, "emotion and the physical are intertwined in ways most of us do not fully understand. After sharing such an intimate moment, a woman's heart may overflow with a spectrum of emotions. If the connection was genuine, if she felt cherished, she might carry the warmth of fulfillment, the sweetness of joy, and a strengthened bond that lights up her soul. But," she added, her voice tinged with sadness, "if there was a lack of emotional connection, if she felt unvalued or unseen, she may carry an emptiness, a void that whispers of loneliness, even in the presence of another. This void can weigh on her, manifesting as exhaustion, a heaviness in her body, or even a deep ache in her spirit." At this, a young woman sitting quietly in the corner raised her hand, her voice trembling with emotion. "How can a woman protect herself from feeling that way?" she asked, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. The elderly woman sighed deeply, her own heart seeming to feel the weight of the young woman's vulnerability. "My dear child," she began with a voice steeped in compassion, "the first and most vital step is for a woman to know her own worth. She must embrace the truth that her body is not just her own. It is sacred, a temple that should be opened only to those who treat it with the reverence it deserves. When a woman truly respects herself, she will naturally recognize those who respect her in return. She must also learn to listen to her body. The body speaks in ways that words cannot. It sends signals through sensations that never lie. If something feels off, there is a reason. Do not dismiss those feelings." Her voice gained strength as she continued. And above all, a woman must learn to communicate. Silence can be a prison, but words, honest, heartfelt words, can build bridges. She must share her feelings, her fears, and her needs with her partner. Only through understanding can two souls truly meet. A young man, his voice filled with earnest curiosity, leaned forward. "What can we do as men to be better partners?" he asked, his question heavy with the hope of doing better. The elderly woman's face softened into a radiant smile, one that carried both gratitude and hope. "Ah, young ones," she said, "the fact that you ask this question is the first step. To be better partners, you must listen, not just with your ears but with your hearts. A woman's body speaks volumes, not in words but through its reactions. Pay attention. Notice if she seems at ease, if she feels appreciated and loved. Be patient. Do not expect perfection on the first try, or even the 10th. Relationships are not built on moments of perfection, but on consistent care and effort. Above all, make her feel that she is safe, valued, and cherished, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Show her that she is with someone who truly sees her." The room was silent once more, but it was no longer heavy with contemplation. Instead, it hummed with an unspoken understanding, a shared commitment to strive for something greater, inspired by the wisdom of a woman who had lived and loved deeply. The group sat in contemplative silence, the elderly woman's words casting a spell over them. Her voice had been steady, filled with both tenderness and resolve, carrying the weight of her years and the depth of her understanding. She had spoken truths that resonated far beyond the surface, truths that touched on the core of what it means to connect, to trust, and to love. After a moment, she drew a deep breath and concluded, her tone as soft as a whisper yet as powerful as a thunderclap. "Always remember, young ones," she began again, her voice rich with emotion, "that intimacy is never just a physical act. It is far deeper, more profound, a sacred language of the soul. It is a bridge that connects two hearts, two spirits, in a way that transcends the physical. When crossed with care, respect, and love, it has the power to create beauty, to bring joy, to foster growth, and to strengthen the bond between two people. But when approached thoughtlessly or carelessly, when the connection is forced or empty, that same bridge can become a pathway to pain. It can leave behind scars that are not seen but are deeply felt, wounds that may take years, or even a lifetime, to heal. This is why intimacy must be treated with the delicacy and reverence it deserves. Life is a series of choices, my dear ones, and every choice you make will leave a mark, not just on you, but on others. Choose wisely, for those marks can shape a lifetime. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Her voice fell silent, but her words remained, lingering in the air like an ethereal presence. Outside, the sun had begun its descent, its warm light spilling across the horizon in golden hues. It painted the gathering with a glow that seemed almost otherworldly, as if the universe itself had paused to listen. Though the day was nearing its end, the light of her wisdom shone brightly in the minds of her audience. It was as though she had handed them a precious lamp, one that would illuminate their paths as they navigated the complexities of human relationships and the intricacies of their own hearts. The elderly woman sat quietly, her hands resting in her lap, her face serene. Yet there was a vibrancy in her presence, a quiet strength that seemed to anchor the group. She had not spoken to lecture or to impose her views but to guide, to offer her hard-earned insights as a gift to the younger generation. Her wisdom was born not of books or theories, but of life itself, of mistakes made, lessons learned, and love found and lost. The silence stretched on, rich with the unspoken reflections of those who had gathered around her. Finally, one of the young women, her voice trembling with emotion, broke the stillness. "Abuela," she began softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "How did you come to know all of this? Was it something you always understood? Or did it take a lifetime to learn?" The elderly woman's lips curled into a tender smile, her eyes shimmering with a mix of joy and sorrow. She turned to the young woman, her gaze filled with both understanding and affection. "Ah, my dear," she said gently, her voice imbued with the richness of her experiences. "It took years, no, decades, to truly understand. Life is a patient teacher, and it does not reveal its lessons all at once. You must be willing to listen, to reflect, and to grow. I have stumbled more times than I can count. There were moments when I did not respect myself as I should have, times when I trusted too easily or not at all. There were relationships that left me broken and moments of silence that spoke louder than any words. Each experience left its mark on me, shaping the woman I have become." She paused, her gaze drifting toward the horizon as if she were looking back through the years. "There were times when I gave too much of myself to those who did not deserve it, when I sought love in places it could not be found. But even in my darkest moments, life was teaching me, whispering truths that I was not yet ready to hear. And with each lesson, I grew stronger. I learned the value of my own worth, the importance of self-respect, and the beauty of love when it is mutual and genuine. I learned that true intimacy is not something you give away. It is something you share with someone who has earned your trust and your heart." Her voice softened, carrying a note of bittersweet reflection. "You see, my child, the mistakes I made were not failures. They were steps on the path to understanding. Without them, I would not be the woman I am today. Regret has no place in my heart, for every misstep brought me closer to my truth. Life is not about avoiding pain, but about finding the strength to rise from it, to learn from it, and to use it to create something beautiful." Another young man, his face earnest and his voice hesitant, asked, "Do you ever feel that the mistakes weren't worth the lessons? That the pain was too much to bear?" The elderly woman turned to him, her expression both tender and resolute. "No, my dear," she said, her voice firm yet compassionate. "The pain was great, yes, but it was not without purpose. Pain is a teacher, and its lessons are some of the most profound you will ever learn. It teaches you resilience, self-awareness, and the depth of your own strength. It shows you what truly matters and what does not. And when you rise from it, you carry with you a wisdom that cannot be taken away. The scars it leaves are not marks of defeat, but of survival, of growth, of transformation." Her words seemed to wrap around the group like a warm embrace, offering comfort and encouragement. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting a final golden glow over the scene. It was as if the light itself had paused to honor the wisdom shared, a reminder that even in the twilight of life, there is beauty, meaning, and light. The young people around her sat in quiet reflection, each carrying the weight of her words in their own way. They had come seeking answers, and they had found not only guidance but also a sense of hope. The elderly woman, content in the knowledge that her message had been received, gazed out at the horizon. In that moment, she seemed timeless, a figure of both the past and the present, her wisdom bridging generations. Her presence was a reminder that life's greatest lessons are not found in moments of ease, but in the trials that shape us, in the love that sustains us, and in the courage to keep moving forward. Another young man leaned forward, his expression a blend of hesitation and genuine curiosity. His voice, though steady, carried an undertone of vulnerability as he asked, "And what about forgiveness? How do we move on when we've hurt someone we care about?" The elderly woman's face grew solemn, her gentle demeanor giving way to an air of quiet gravity. The group instinctively leaned closer, sensing that her next words would carry profound significance. She folded her hands in her lap, her weathered fingers intertwined, as she allowed a brief silence to stretch, ensuring the weight of her response would resonate deeply. "Forgiveness," she began softly, her voice carrying both warmth and the weight of experience, "is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood forces in human relationships. It is, at once, both a gift and a responsibility. When you have caused pain to someone you love, the first and most important step is to acknowledge it, not just with words, but with your whole being. Apologies, my dear ones, are not just about saying, 'I'm sorry.' They are about understanding the depth of the hurt you've caused, taking ownership of your actions, and doing everything in your power to make amends. Words spoken without true intent are empty. They can neither mend the heart nor bridge the divide." If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. She paused for a moment, her gaze sweeping over the group, as if seeking to draw them further into the depth of her understanding. Her eyes, reflective of years of wisdom and introspection, seemed to hold the sorrows and triumphs of a lifetime. Yet, she continued, her tone steady but tinged with sadness, even when forgiveness is sought and granted, it does not erase the hurt. You must understand this. Forgiveness creates a space, a sacred space, for healing, but it cannot undo what has been done. It allows the scar to form, but the wound, no matter how well it heals, will always leave a mark. She shifted her focus, her gaze now softening as she addressed the other side of the coin. And if you are the one who has been hurt, she said, her voice filled with compassion, remember that forgiveness is not about absolution. It is not about pretending the pain didn't happen or minimizing its impact. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the chains of anger, bitterness, and resentment. It is about choosing peace over pain, for your own sake. Carrying the weight of unforgiveness in your heart is like holding onto a stone. It will only grow heavier with time. Forgiving does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean allowing the same hurt to happen again. It is about setting yourself free, about reclaiming your own emotional and spiritual well-being. The group sat in silence, their thoughts swirling with her words. The concept of forgiveness, so often oversimplified, had been unveiled in all its complexity and depth. They nodded slowly, each one reflecting on the wounds they carried, both those they had inflicted and those they had endured. The golden hues of the sunset continued to fade, replaced by the deepening blue of twilight. The sky, like the hearts of the listeners, was undergoing a quiet transformation, a gradual shift toward something profound. The elderly woman, sensing their introspection, allowed them a moment of silence before she spoke again. Her voice was gentler now, carrying the warmth of a grandmother's embrace. My children, she said, her tone tender but firm, life is not perfect, and neither are we. Relationships are perhaps the most complex and challenging part of our journey. They will test you. They will stretch you. They will sometimes even break your heart. But do not let fear of these hardships hold you back. If approached with honesty, respect, and love, relationships can also be the most rewarding part of your existence. They can teach you lessons no book ever could. They can fill your soul with a joy so profound it defies words. Her eyes scanned the faces around her, searching for understanding, for connection. Never be afraid, she continued, to express your feelings. Speak your truth, even when it scares you. Show your vulnerability, for it is through vulnerability that we build trust and intimacy. And do not hesitate to admit when you are wrong. These are not weaknesses, my dear ones. They are strengths. They are the foundation of love, of respect, of connection. As she finished speaking, the first stars began to emerge in the indigo sky above them. Their faint twinkle mirrored the flickers of realization and understanding that had begun to light up the minds of the group. Slowly, the young people began to rise, their movements quiet and contemplative, as if reluctant to break the spell of her words. Some lingered, their gazes lingering on the elderly woman, as if silently offering their gratitude. Others drifted away, their expressions thoughtful, carrying the weight of her wisdom like a precious gift. The elderly woman remained seated, her face now turned upward toward the heavens. The stars above sparkled brightly, and she felt a deep sense of peace settle over her heart. She knew her words had found fertile ground in the hearts of those who had listened, that the seeds of understanding she had sown would grow in time, bearing fruit in the choices they would make, the lives they would live, and the relationships they would nurture. In the quiet stillness of the night, she whispered a silent prayer of gratitude, not only for the opportunity to share her wisdom but for the young souls who had come, open and willing to listen. She knew that the lesson she had imparted would ripple outward, shaping lives and fostering love in ways she might never see but deeply believed in. Her words, like the stars above, would remain a constant, quiet guide, illuminating their paths long after this evening had faded into memory. And as she sat there, bathed in the light of the night sky, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The conversation had not merely been an exchange of words. It had been a moment of transformation, a turning point for each of the young people who had gathered at her feet. They had come seeking answers, and they had left with something far greater, the wisdom to face life's complexities with courage, compassion, and hope. It was a gift that would echo through their lives, carried in their hearts like a lamp lighting the way. As the stars above remind us of life's vastness, the wisdom shared today reminds us of the depth within ourselves. So, tell us, what have you learned from this video? Is there one piece of wisdom you'll carry forward in your own life? Share your reflections in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you're helping us spread this wisdom to others who may need it. Thank you for joining us on this journey of learning, reflection, and growth. See you in the next video.